Ben was 20 and Lily was only 17, but their acquaintance began when they were completely children. Lily's older brother, Jake, and Ben trained together on the same football team, so Lily often saw Ben at sports fields and family gatherings. Already then, Lily watched with childish enthusiasm for the older, self-confident guy, who always laughed and joked with his friends. Over the years, their paths did not diverge, they often crossed at school events, in the park or on holidays. For Ben, she was Jake's sister, and for Lily, he became her first great love. First love. When Lily turned 16, she noticed that Ben began to treat her a little differently. Then he gave her a ride home. Then he joked with her so that she blushed. Then while walking with friends he kept looking at her longer than usual. Lily was happy. She loved him so much that she was ready to do anything just to please him. At 17, she dared to talk about her feelings, and surprisingly, Ben reciprocated. However, even then everything was not so simple. He hugged her, looked into her eyes and whispered, "Lily, I love you, but you are still a child. We can't." And a few days later he wrote a message, "I missed you. I only need you." This emotional swing lasted for several months until Ben finally decided that they should be together. The beginning of a relationship. The first month was like a fairy tale. They went on dates, watched movies, laughed to tears and even made joint plans for the future. Ben was caring and attentive, constantly repeating how much he loves Lily. She was the happiest girl in the world. But something in Ben began to change. Control and prohibitions. At first, everything seemed innocent. "Lily, why are you going to your neighbors? You have nothing to do there. Stay better at home." Then Ben began to ask, "Send me a video every 10 minutes so I know you're home. I'm just worried about you." Lily obeyed. She loved him and thought it was normal, he was just worried. But every day Ben became more demanding. "Why do you correspond with other guys? Unsubscribe from them immediately." Lily tried to talk to him. "Ben, these are my friends. If I have to do this, then you should also unsubscribe from the girls you know." It was a mistake. Ben started shouting, "You still don't understand how everything should be. I'm in charge of this relationship, and you have to do as I say." Abuse and fear. Lily was afraid to tell him. She was afraid of losing him, so she obeyed. She removed all the guys from social media, and whenever Ben asked, she sent him a video or photo, proving that she was sitting at home. She stopped seeing her friends, because he forbade her to go anywhere without him. When Lily tried to talk to Ben, he didn't listen. "You don't understand anything. I do it for our good." The end of patience. 7 months of this life were hell for Lily. She cried at night, lost friends, and felt lonely. She finally took courage and said, "Either you change, or we split up. I can't live like this anymore." Ben promised that he would change. But it got even worse. He started drinking. In the evenings, he lied that he was at home, although Lily knew that he was not there. He came drunk and fell on her. One day she saw him drunk again, and realized that it was impossible to tolerate it anymore. She left. Ben tried to get Lily back for a long time. He wrote to her, swore that he loved her, but did not change. He called her, humiliated her with the words, "You're nothing. Without me, you are nothing." And in an hour he wrote, "I'm sorry. It was emotion. I love you." 6 months after the breakup, Lily continued to receive insults from him. She cried every night, not understanding how she deserved such an attitude. It wasn't until time that Lily realized that it wasn't love. It was control, abuse, and toxicity. Her story became a lesson for her. True love does not humiliate or devalue, but supports and gives freedom. Ben has never changed. Lily found the strength to move on, although the wounds from this relationship remained for a long time. After Lily finally parted, it was very difficult to return to normal life. She often woke up in the middle of the night from memories of Ben, his screams, insults, constant control. She felt as if she had lost herself in this relationship. The friends who still remained tried to support her, but Lily often pushed them away. "You don't understand. It's my own fault that I let him act like this to me." She tried to find an answer to the question, why did I put up with it? How did I deserve this attitude? But over time, I realized that no one deserves abusive treatment, regardless of what mistakes the person made. Lily gradually began to restore her life. She returned to school, talked more with friends, tried to find activities that brought her joy. She signed up for drawing, where she felt free for the first time in a long time. Paints and a clean canvas became therapy for her. Ben doesn't give up. Ben, however, did not retreat. He kept writing a message to Lily, "You betrayed me. After everything I've done for you, I know you still love me. No one will love you as much as I do. You ruined me. It's all your fault." Lily tried to ignore him, but these words were deeply hurt. It was difficult for her to understand how a person who once talked about love could be so cruel. Sometimes she even began to doubt herself. Maybe he's right. Maybe I'm really to blame for everything? But every day her faith in herself was getting stronger. She realized that love should not be pain. Meeting with the past. One day, a few months after the breakup, Lily accidentally met Ben in the mall. He looked tired and angry, and there was no confidence in his eyes that she had ever seen. Ben approached her, "You look happy. You know, you ruined my life." Lily was not confused for the first time. She looked into his eyes and calmly replied, "No, Ben. I didn't ruin your life. You made him like that yourself. And I won't let you ruin mine anymore." This meeting was a point of no return for her. She was no longer afraid of him. Ben no longer had power over her. New life. A year has passed. Lily became stronger. She learned to value herself, set boundaries, and never let anyone humiliate her again. She realized that true love begins with self-love. Ben is in the past as a painful lesson she has learned for life. Now Lily knew that she deserved happiness, respect, and freedom. Every time she looked at her reflection in the mirror, she smiled and said softly to herself, "I'm free. And I'm strong." Time went forward incessantly, and Lily learned to live without the pain that once haunted her at night. Every morning she started the day with small rituals, a cup of coffee by the window, fresh air, and a few lines in her diary. She wrote about her dreams, goals, and how she wants to see herself in the future, free, happy, and self-confident. One day she decided to take another important step, to visit a psychologist. At first it wasn't easy. Lily was afraid to experience all that pain again, but gradually she realized, to speak means to heal. She talked about her fears, how she lost herself in a relationship with Ben, and how hard it was to regain control of her own life. The psychologist explained to her an important thing: abusers often manipulate feelings of guilt. But you are not to blame. You were a victim, and your strength is that you found the courage to leave. These words gave Lily what she lacked so much: self-forgiveness. She no longer blamed herself for enduring. The road to new opportunities. With new strength, Lily decided to start from scratch. She entered college in another city where no one knew her past. This was her second chance, a chance for a new life. She began to be friends again, participate in student events, and most importantly, feel alive. Once in an art class, she met a guy named Ethan. He was attentive, kind, and not at all like Ben. Ethan didn't pressure her, didn't demand reports on her day, and always asked, "Lily, how are you feeling? Isn't that too much for you?" At first, Lily was afraid to trust. She was constantly waiting for something to go wrong for Ethan to show her true face. But it didn't happen. He was patient and gave her space. One evening, when they were walking in the park together, Ethan said, "You deserve the best. And I want you to never doubt yourself again." Lily cried, but this time it was tears of relief. She realized that she could love again and be loved as she is. The final break with the past. A year after breaking up with Ben, Lily received the last message from him: "I missed you. Let's start again. I have changed." But this time she didn't feel anything. No fear, no doubt. She answered him briefly, "I'm sorry, but I'm no longer the girl you used to know. Goodbye." She blocked his number and deleted his profile from all social networks. It was her symbolic step. The door to the past was closed forever. The happiness she deserved. Today, Lily is no longer the naive girl she used to be. She learned to love and respect herself, understood the value of her own freedom and inner peace. She found a hobby, friends, and a loved one who never made her doubt her own value. Every time she sees herself in the mirror, she sees a strong girl who has been able to walk through the darkness and find the light. And now she knows that no one will ever be able to break her again. Years have passed. Lily was already 22, and her life began to be filled with what she once dreamed of. She graduated from college with honors, discovered a love for psychology and helping others. Her own experience of toxic relationships turned into her motivation. Lily wanted to become a psychologist and help girls who went through such pain. Her first steps in this profession were not easy. Every story told by her clients echoed in her soul, reminding her of the past. But now she was strong. She knew how to pull herself out of the darkness and learn to share this power with others. One day, a girl of 18 came to her with her shoulders down and a trembling voice: "I don't know how to get away from him. He says no one needs me without him." Lily looked at her and said gently, "I understand you better than you think. But no, you are worthy of love that does not bring pain. Let's take your life back step by step." At this moment, Lily realized that her story made sense. She was once the girl herself, scared, addicted, and broken. Now she became the person who could extend a helping hand. The meeting that changed everything. Life continued to surprise Lily. After college, she decided to travel the country to find new inspiration and feel the freedom she once lacked so much. Once in a coffee shop in a small town, she met Ethan again. They hadn't seen each other for over a year, but his smile was just as sincere. "Lily, I don't believe my eyes. How did you end up here?" "I'm traveling. I want to see the world." She smiled, and this time her smile was confident. Ethan invited her for a walk. They talked for hours like old friends who have endless topics in common. Ethan didn't ask any questions about her past. He appreciated the Lily she became. They spent the next few months together. Ethan supported her in everything: in her desire to develop a career as a psychologist, in her work and in her travels. He did not control, did not demand, but simply walked next to her, leaving her space to be herself. "You know," he once said, "true love does not limit, but inspires. And I want to always see you blossom." Lily remembered these words forever. Forgiveness is the path to freedom. One day, while reviewing old entries in her diary, Lily remembered Ben. She no longer felt anger or pain. Now it was just a story from her past, part of her journey. She realized that she had to let him go completely, not only as a person, but also as a shadow that hung over her life for a long time. Lily wrote a letter that she never intended to send: "Ben, I forgive you. I forgive you not because you deserve it, but because I deserve freedom. You no longer have power over me. Now I'm free and I'm happy. I hope you find your way too." She burned the sheet, watching the ashes fly in the air. It was her last step towards complete healing. The happy ending she deserved. At 25, Lily opened her own practice as a psychologist and began conducting seminars for women who had experienced abusive relationships. She was an example of how to rebuild your life after the darkest times. Ethan stayed by, supporting her dreams and plans. He proposed to Lily on the ocean shore under the starry sky, saying, "I have always believed in you, and now I want to be there for the rest of my life." Lily agreed because for the first time in her life she was sure This is true love, love that does not destroy, but builds. When she walked to the altar in a white dress, her heart was calm. She looked at the sky and whispered, "Thank you for being able to go this way." Lily's story was no longer about pain. It was a story about strength, hope and love that comes after a long night, like a dawn promising a new beginning. Lily understood that her path was still far from complete. Life always brings new challenges, but now she met them with calmness and confidence. Every day she worked with women who experienced abusive relationships, and saw in them prints of herself, that vulnerable girl who was once afraid to step into the unknown. One day, a woman came to her seminar, who was silent throughout the meeting. Lily approached her after class. "If you want to talk, I'm always ready to listen to you." The woman looked at Lily with eyes full of tears. "Your words saved me today. Thank you for what you do." At such moments, Lily felt that her pain was not in vain. He became the basis on which she built a new life for herself and for others. Life with Ethan. Ethan and Lily became closer every year. They learned to listen to each other, support and share the most secret. Lily sometimes told him about her fear of returning to the past, about the shadows that occasionally appeared in her thoughts. "You're not alone anymore," Ethan always replied, holding her hand. "I'm here, and together we'll go through everything." These words were a support for Lily. She finally realized that true love does not require sacrifices and does not set conditions. It's just clean, warm and strong. Visit from the past. A few years later, Lily unexpectedly received a message on the social network. It was Ben. His words were brief, "Hello. I want to talk." She stared at the screen for a long time, but this time her heart did not tighten with fear or pain. She smiled and closed the message. Ben was part of her past, but he no longer had power over her present. That evening, Lily was sitting on the terrace with Ethan, watching the sunset. She felt that she was finally free. The past could no longer stop her. "What are you thinking about?" Ethan asked, noticing her pensive look. "About how much my life has changed. And how grateful I am for this path." Ethan hugged her and whispered, "Your life is just beginning." The happiness she deserved. Lily has opened a new support center for women who have faced domestic violence and toxic relationships. Her story became an example for many, proof that even after the darkest times, you can find light and learn to love again. When she stood in front of the audience at the opening of the center, her voice was calm and confident. "We all have the right to love that inspires, not destroys. Each of you deserves happiness. Never let anyone convince you otherwise." Her speech was met with applause. Looking at the people in the hall, Lily knew that her path was not easy, but every step was worth it. It was not the end of her story, but only a new beginning, a life that she built herself, step by step, despite all the difficulties. Lily devoted herself completely to helping others. Her support center quickly became famous in the city and later beyond. Women who experienced toxic relationships found here not only shelter, but also faith in their own strength. Lily has created a unique program of psychological recovery. Its goal was simple: to show that women who faced abuse can be reborn, find their place in the world and never return to the past again. She taught them to love themselves, set healthy boundaries, and not be afraid to ask for help. One day, a young girl came up to Lily after class and said, "You saved my life. I thought it was over, but now I can see that I can live on." These words always warmed her heart. She knew that her own pain once made sense, because thanks to him, she could now help others. The family she dreamed of. Over the years, Lily and Ethan built a strong family. Their home was always filled with laughter, coziness, and love. A few years later, they had a daughter named May. May grew up in the freedom and love that Lily always dreamed of giving her child. She taught her daughter to be strong, brave, and independent, but at the same time sensitive and kind to others. One evening, when Lily was reading a fairy tale to May before going to bed, the girl asked, "Mom, what does it mean to be strong?" Lily thought for a moment and replied, "Being strong is being able to get up, even when it's very difficult. It is to love yourself and not be afraid to be yourself." These were the words she wanted every woman to hear. Unexpected meeting. One day, when Lily was returning from a conference where she spoke as the main speaker, she accidentally met Ben at the station. He looked aged and exhausted. His eyes were filled with sadness, and the smile disappeared. "Lily," he said when he saw her, "you've changed a lot. I don't even know if I recognize you." Lily looked at him calmly. There was no fear, no pain, no anger in her eyes. It was just a strange man from her past. "Yes, I've changed. And you know what, Ben? I'm grateful for that." He didn't answer anything, just looked away. This meeting finally convinced Lily. The past no longer had power over her. She walked forward, and Ben remained where he belonged in memories. A life full of meaning. At the age of 30, Lily became known in the country as a psychologist and motivational speaker. She wrote a book about her way, about how to get out of abusive relationships and learn to trust yourself again. The book became a bestseller and helped thousands of women believe in themselves. During one of the speeches, Lily concluded her speech with the words, "No one has the right to devalue you or control your life. Each of you is strong. Each of you deserves happiness. And even if you now think you are trapped, remember, there is always a way out." The hall burst into applause. Lily felt ants running down her back. It was the moment when she realized, her path is not just a survival story. This is a story of victory. Happy ending. Lily learned to live without fear and pain. She built the life she had always dreamed of, a loving family, work that benefited others, and the inner freedom she had once sought for so long. In the evenings, as she sat on the porch of her house, looking at the sunset, she smiled. Her path was not easy, but he made her the woman she became. And now she knew for sure that no one would ever be able to break her again. "Thank you for everything," she whispered in silence. And these words were addressed to her whole life, with his ups, downs, pain and triumphs. Lily's story continued to inspire many people. Her speeches, books and programs became a source of strength for those who were still looking for a way out of toxic relationships. Lily often received letters from women and girls from all over the country. "Thank you for telling your story. Thanks to you, I found the strength to get away from the man who destroyed me. Your book has become a guide for me to a new life. You gave me hope." Each such letter was a reminder to Lily why she started this business. Her pain, which once seemed endless, has now become a source of hope for others. One day she was invited to speak at an international conference on women's rights. It was a world-class event where activists, psychologists, and well-known opinion leaders gathered. Lily stood on the stage, in front of thousands of people, and shared her experience. "I was the girl who believed that love is patience and sacrifice. But true love doesn't require you to lose yourself. It does not control, does not humiliate or hurt. True love supports and gives you wings." The applause lasted for a few minutes. Lily saw understanding and gratitude in the eyes of the listeners. On this day, she realized that her voice is an instrument of change, and she will not stop as long as her story helps others. Return to hometown. One day, Lily decided to visit her hometown, where it all began. She walked through familiar streets and remembered the girl she used to be. The same parks, the same houses, but now she looked at them with different eyes. On the training field, she saw a group of teenagers playing football. Her heart was pinched. This is where she first met Ben, and this is where it all began. But this time she didn't feel any pain. She accepted her past as part of the path that led her to the present. Lily also visited her brother Jake, who always supported her, even when she didn't want to listen. Over a cup of coffee, he smiled and said, "You know, I'm proud of you. You went through hell and didn't just survive, you became the best version of yourself." These words meant more to her than any awards or recognition. A life full of love. Time has passed. Lily and Ethan raised their daughter May in an atmosphere of trust and love. They traveled the world together, discovered new places, and wrote their own happy stories together. One evening, Lily was sitting in her office working on a new book. May ran into the room and sat down next to her mother. "Mom, are you writing your story again?" "No, honey," Lily smiled. "This time I'm writing a story for everyone who is afraid to start from scratch." May thought for a moment and asked, "What will happen at the end of this story?" Lily stroked her daughter's hair and replied, "There will always be hope in the end, May. Even after the darkest night, dawn always comes. The final is just the beginning." Lily was no longer afraid of her past. She turned her pain into strength, and her fears into opportunities. Her life proved that anyone can get up, even when it seems that the fall is final. She learned to love, believe, and live with full dedication. Her story was no longer about Ben or those dark times. It was about victory over pain, fear, and doubt. Standing on the terrace of her house under the starry sky, Lily took a deep breath and whispered, "I'm free. And I'm happy." It was the end of one path and the beginning of another, a bright one, full of love and hope.